Hi again guys, and welcome to episode 23 of Import Nights, the review series for GranTurismo's Japanese or JDM performance cars. And this particular pick of vehicle is one which bridges over between the sports coupe category and the traditional idea of a JDM car, but then also goes beyond that into, of course, rally territory. And this particular vehicle is one of those JDM cars which I personally see more in this country, in England, than many others. You see the occasional Skyline, some Supras, this and that here and there, but generally there are more Celicas in the UK than most other JDM cars. Now, this particular vehicle is not a car which I've really ever been a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of the Celica, really of any generation. Of the Celicas that are on the game, I think my favourite would probably be the ST205 rally version, because it's got a beefy old school rally look. This car though is of course the next generation of that concept, and visually it's a pretty good looking car. It has the kind of aggressive styling that you'd expect more from something like a Supra, but combined with all-wheel drive and of course more rallying DNA. Now this vehicle is a very quick car. The performance that it has, I would say, goes beyond its raw spec, because as far as power in particular, it's no way near many of the other cars in this series. You're looking at, not surprisingly, a 2-litre turbo engine. It is of course all-wheel drive, and it puts out 558 horsepower. Now, that's not a small amount, of course, but I would have expected more than that from something like this. Now, as far as torque, you're looking at 417 foot-pounds, so although it's not necessarily as powerful and as torquey as it arguably could be, it's still not bad. You've got some decent numbers to be working with, similar kind of numbers to something like an Impreza or an Evo, which is appropriate given that it is, of course, a rally-bred vehicle. Now, as far as weight, it weighs 1138 kilos, which is pretty good given the all-wheel drive, and the fully tuned PP is actually pretty reasonable, 554, perhaps not quite as high as you might assume. And that's potentially a good thing. This could be a track weapon if its PP falls in a useful place. So the question is, does it deliver on that potential? Well, for 33 grand, it would be difficult for this to be a bad car, because you've got really good power for the money. It's a Celica, which is a known name, and it's a rally-bred vehicle based on a very capable rally car. The Celica rally car in ST185 and ST205 form is a great rally car. So if any of that DNA translates well to the road, then it would be a good vehicle. And it really does. This is a good road car. The handling is very good, there is a huge amount of grip, and the drivability is great. It's easy to drive regardless of your skill level. It's a very forgiving car. I would say probably even more forgiving than something like an Evo. Plus you have the advantages such as the lower centre of gravity, the wider track when compared to something like a hot hatch or a sedan. It's a lower, wider car, in other words, and that helps with cornering. It means it doesn't roll around as much, and it's naturally geared towards being more of a high-performance machine, especially when tuned. Now, as far as flat-out potential, particularly in a straight line, the acceleration is probably its strongest point, especially off the line because of the all-wheel drive. It is a very quick car. It can easily outpace vehicles with 200 or 300 horsepower more in short distance drag, say an eighth of a mile or quarter mile, due to the uptake of grip off the line. It really is good. For top-end speed, it's not bad, but it's not amazingly great either. It's more than enough top speed for most tracks, but this is no Supra. You're not talking that kind of speed. A Supra reduced down to this kind of power would still be a significantly faster car for top-end performance, as would many others. But I don't think many people would probably assume that this would be a good top-speed racer. It's just not that kind of vehicle. So overall, the Celica is a car which I would say, if I had to sum the entire vehicle up in one word, it would be safe. The Celica is a safe choice. It's dependable, it's consistent, it's predictable, but in a good way. It does what you expect it to do. It looks the part, and it can back up its looks with actual ability. It's got good acceleration, a decent top speed, loads of grip, pretty good brakes, and good handling. Plus, for 33 grand, the value is really good. It's not necessarily the most exciting choice, although I'm sure Celica fans would disagree with that, but for the average Joe who's not a Celica fan, it's not the most exciting of vehicles to drive. It actually shares that in a similar way, I would say, to some other all-wheel drive vehicles, which don't necessarily give as much driver feedback and have as much of a fun factor as, say, a rear-wheel drive car or even some other all-wheel drive cars which handle more in an all-wheel drive way. But overall, if you're looking for pure ability rather than fun or to mess around with it, then you will get that. The bang for buck is good, it's a competitive car, especially due to its well-placed PP, and it's a vehicle which, as long as you don't try and take on everything with it of course, pretty much won't let you down. So overall, the Celica ST205 in particular for this episode, and we will also be touching on the ST185 in a future episode, is a safe choice to go for. Consistent, reliable, dependable, and capable. But that's it overall for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.